It really is amazing how the devil, the enemy of God, can use something to awaken something within a person that really has been dormant. And that person may think, well, I've defeated that in my life. That's no longer an issue in my life. Only to find out that now it has become something that you're thinking about, you're dwelling on it, you're allowing it to become enlarged in your mind, even to the point to where you might even consider going back to that thing that you knew that at one time in your life was very destructive to you. It caused you a lot of pain, caused a lot of people around you a lot of pain, cost you financially, cost you physically, cost you in relationships, but you've been successful in being able to give it to the Lord and have said, Lord, help me to be able to put this aside, put this behind me to where I'm not vulnerable to it. But yet some little thing could be the trigger. You could just be driving down the road and something passed in front of you, or maybe you might see a bumper sticker on a car, or a billboard, or anything. Or maybe you listen to a radio broadcast and something that is said would trigger a thought, and then it begins to build and grow in your mind. Well, that's the enemy coming in like a flood, like I've talked about the first 2 days of this week. And how that I told you that there's a huge difference between a flash flood and just a flood. A flash flood, yes, it'll be very destructive, and it can come upon you and it can kill you in an instant. But most of the time, flooding is not that way. Flooding is slow but steady, and it's relentless. And what happens is that something will come along and it'll take control of your mind. And the mind is a tremendous battlefield. There is a battle for the spiritual control of a person's mind. And so if you're in a state to where you've been neglecting the continual building up of your spiritual self, in other words, you ceased doing the things that you know you need to be doing. And of course that is prayer and spending time in God's Word and being around God's people. And you find yourself abandoning those things. Well, then you become a very vulnerable prey. And of course, we read about this in animal life. That animal that wants to stay on the fringes of the herd, doesn't want to be in the thick of the herd, wants to be on the fringes. Those are the ones that are most vulnerable and will probably be picked off by the lion or the bear or whatever, because they're making themselves vulnerable. And so the person who has found themselves now being tempted and enticed by something that they thought they had once defeated in their life, but now it's very much in the mindset. You're thinking about it. You're dwelling about it. You're lingering on it. Well, you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable, and as soon as the enemy does feel like the right circumstances or time, he'll try to pick you off, and he'll cause you to fall. And cause you to give in to your temptations and sin, which is very, very difficult thing to overcome. And so my advice is, go back to the things that you were doing to secure your faith. This is Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.